What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to make a little instructional video on DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. A lot of my friends have been asking me about it. I've had a little bit of success in the smaller dollar tourneys. I'm not really much of a gambler, so I pretty much do this for fun, but a lot of my friends have been asking me about it, and instead of trying to explain it to every one of them, I figured I would just make a video. They can come on here and check it out. It's pretty simple. I mean, after you've played it for a while, everything kind of just falls into place, but trying to explain it to somebody who's never played it can be frustrating at times, because there's a lot of little elements that are hard to explain if you're ignorant on the topic and haven't done it before. So in this video I will explain how it works and what you can do to try and make a little bit of money and definitely have a lot of fun. As you can see, I'm not a high roller. I'm not Condia. And if you don't know who Condia is, you eventually will once you start playing DFS. He's one of the high rollers. He puts up a lot of money, puts together some good lineups. A lot of people are interested in how he's doing, but that's besides the point. Anyways, I'm going to show you. This is FanDuel, by the way, FanDuel.com. This is my favorite site. There are other sites like DraftKings that are really popular as well, but this is the first one that I played on, and I'm the most familiar and comfortable with the layout of this site, and the salaries. So this is the one I go to. Anyways, obviously you have all kinds of contest types. You have head-to-head. That's where you just go against one other person for a certain amount. If you put up $2 and they match your $2, you got a $4 prize pool. But FanDuel, like the online poker sites, is going to take his 10% rake, so you're only going to win $360. And I believe if you go to the higher dollar tournament, the higher dollar head-to-heads, you will not get quite as much of a rake. But there's very few people who have the money or the guts to play those, so we won't even get into that. Then you have leagues. I'll get to that later because that's the one we're going to do. You have 50-50s. It's similar to head-to-head as far as the odds go, but instead of just you versus one other person, you will be going up against 100 or 120 other people. And so basically you only have to finish in the top 60 to get the same prize that you would win by beating one other guy. Now the odds are technically the same, but I myself find that I've had more luck in 50-50 leagues because there's a lot of late scratches or players that just come out hurt out of nowhere that you'll find out about. And when you have the more amount of people that you have in a tournament, the more likely that one of those guys is going to not catch that injury, especially in the lower dollar tourneys. A lot of the time they forget, so the odds are a little bit better if you cash in. That's probably the way to go, either 50-50 or double up if you're just wanting to grind it out and make a decent bankroll that you can eventually use to play in the bigger games. So tournaments is the one that I like to do. I'm not really a gambler. I do this more for fun. I mean, of course we're all gamblers if we play this, but I think of it as like a scratcher ticket that I have a little bit of control over, and instead of it being over in about 5 seconds, it lasts all night. And also, as somebody that's more of an NFL and MLB fan than an NBA fan, it makes the NBA season a lot more fun. And my favorite thing about it is every single game. I mean, you could have the two worst teams in the league playing against each other, but every single game is relevant. It just makes the sports season, whatever season it is, that much more entertaining. And you also get to know a lot of players that the casual fans or even big sports fans don't know about. Like just off the top of my head, Nick Calathis is a guy that I played one time. He was on a tourney winner that I had. And I'm willing to bet that most people who don't play daily fantasy sports have any clue who Nick Calathis is. By the way, he's the backup or third string point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies. So Anyways, let's get started. I like to go, you have all your different, let's go to NBA. You have all the different tournaments here. You have your $5, your $1, your $2. They also have, they have some higher dollar tournaments like the Monster. If you look at some of the prizes for those, 20 grand. That's basically, can you afford to put $200 up on a tournament? The most popular one is the Slam, Super Slam. The reason that this one's popular is because the entry fee is not ridiculous, and 30 grand. Look what you got there. That's there's so many people that enter this one. That's a prize that is worth risking $25 for. And even if you don't win the 30 grand, you just have to get in the top 2,645 to double your money. And we have a guy who frequents this site daily, NBA Daily Starting Lineups, Mohamed Ayub. Don't know if I pronounced that right, but he won the Super Slam the other night and won $40,000. So congratulations to him. We'll get back to this site later. There's a lot of smart guys on here, a lot of intelligent conversation, a lot of good fantasy knowledge. But anyways, I'm going to set up a team real quick and just show you basically what I do. Sorry I've been rambling on, but I usually play the dribbler. The reason I play the dribbler is because it is not multi-entry. The SWAT, if you see the little M right here, that means that you can put, I don't know if there's a limit because I've never played more than like 20 or 30 lineups in a single tournament. But if you play in something like the SWAT, you're going to have, let's see if we can show that. You're going to have some people, sluts and cleats. Alright, perfect name. See, they have 5 different lineups here, and if you're not wanting to spend a lot of money and put a whole bunch of lineups in, you just want to put that one lineup in, it makes it increasingly difficult to beat people who put in 5, 10, 15, 20 lineups, because they're going to play a lot of lineups that what you wouldn't normally play. So, you know, luck factors in a lot more, because in a single entry, they're going to be more likely to play guys that they have confidence in. You're not going to have the random guys like John Lure's a guy who comes to mind. He's putting up 35, 40 out of nowhere, and there was no indication that you should play him. Like Zach Randolph and Mark Gasol are both healthy. Randolph and Gasol are the two bigs on the Memphis Grizzlies who are going to eat most of those minutes up. So Lure's a guy who doesn't usually have tremendous upside, but you can play guys like that when you play a whole bunch of lineups, because, you know, basically you're just putting out as many different possibilities that you can. So anyways, I play the dribbler every night. This shows right here the games that you're going to be picking from in this particular tournament. There are the entries. That's not really important. And here are the prizes. The other day I got third because excuse me, Klay Thompson had to score 37 points in one quarter, and the two guys that finished barely ahead of me both had Klay Thompson. So thank you, Klay Thompson. I'm a big Warriors fan, so I guess it's a little bittersweet. At least it was somebody that at least it was a player that I loved that cost me $700. But anyways, here we go. I'm going to enter this. And the first thing that I always do, because I usually don't start playing until late and it's getting close to filling up, so I don't sit around here for a half hour making a team and then go and press enter and it says that this is full. I just run through real quick and I just pick players from the mid-tier just to save my lineup. Okay, so my lineup is saved, and then I like to quickly press edit. And then clear it so I don't even get a chance to look at it, just in case those guys go off, and I should have just kept the shit the way it was. Sorry, I cough a lot, I smoke. You'll just have to get used to it. Alright, so the first thing that I do, I order it by fantasy points per game, and I go to the position. I scroll through each position. I start at point guard, and I click on the game. And the first thing that I'm doing is I'm looking at the O, or the GTD, out or game time decision, because what I like to do is immediately look at all the punts. And a punt is, for example, Zach LaVine. You have Ricky Rubio, who's been out pretty much all season. And you have Mo Williams. Let's see what it says about him. Will not play Wednesday. Well, this is Friday, so that's old news. But basically, you're looking to get guys like Zach LaVine. I had him the other night. He put up 32.8, which is very good. I mean, that's unless you're a superstar, 30 is usually a good night. For a guy who costs $4,000, and I think he cost like $3,900 when I played him, that's great. I don't like the 24 minutes because that shows me that this might have just been kind of a fluke. You know, you like to see guys who get 30 to 35 minutes, but anyways. So I go through here. I'm clicked on point guard, and I go through every game, and I look for injury news that pops up on here. This is a new feature of FanDuel that personally I could do without, because you know, if you can do more research in one spot, you're less likely, as somebody like me who goes to several sites, to find out information that is going to make my team better. That would give me an advantage over somebody who basically just stays on here. But I'm going to use it to my advantage here. Deron Williams is out. That's pretty insignificant because Jarrett Jack at this point isn't really a punt. He's 7,000. So you want him to get 35. The basic rule in daily fantasy is 300 is considered a good lineup. On some nights, 300 is not going to win you much. On some hot nights, 300 is going to win you a lot. But the golden rule is to use 5 times. So if a guy costs 7,000, you want him to get 5 times 7, which is 35 FanDuel points, because you're going for a 300 lineup. Obviously, you're hoping for more, but 300 is usually the goal. So let's go through here and see if there's any. Drew Holiday is out. He's been out for a while, obviously, as you can see. So there's not really an obvious punt play that comes from Drew Holiday. And it's not always the same position. Sometimes guys like Tyreek Evans or Eric Gordon, who play a different position, are the guys who are going to get, you know, either you're going to have a guy like Tyreek Evans who was already a starter, but with Drew Holiday out, he's going to take on much more of a role in the offense. Or you have guys like Eric Gordon, who are fairly cheap, although his price has slowly climbed, that are going to put up a lot of, you know, pretty decent games. Like, he's not, except for this one, he's not really blowing up, but for 5,700, that doesn't take a large portion of your salary, and you're getting consistently pretty good numbers. Guys in this price range, in the I'd say 5,000 to 7,000 price range, you're not really looking for 50, 60 fantasy points. You're hoping for that, but these are the guys that you usually pick last on your team, and you're just looking for the guys who are the most consistent. It's the cheap players, the punts, and the superstars that you're wanting, that you're going for. You're wanting your punts to get you value plus some, and you're wanting your superstars to obviously have really good nights, like 50, 60. You know, a couple times I've seen 70 with Pau Gasol. Klay Thompson got 69.9, I believe, the other day. So, anyways, so I'm going through the point guards. Dwayne Wade, I don't know if this is new or not. It's 2-3 weeks. Okay, we're going to definitely have to come back to this, but I'm on shooting guards now, so let's go back to point guards. Now, usually this takes me 2 minutes to do, but I'm trying to explain it in detail, so. Alright, there's not really any blatantly obvious point guard punts besides Zach LaVine, and that all depends on whether Mo Williams is out or not. So you're going to click on Mo Williams, and you're going to look, and he's not playing for personal reasons, so he's probably going to be in. So point guard. It's looking like we might have to spend more money on point guard. So let's move to shooting guard. Richardson's pretty insignificant. Doesn't really matter that he's out. Kevin Martin just came back. And this is stuff that you'll know. It's not something that you're going to know right away. But you'll know that Kevin Martin's been out basically all season. Now, sometimes when a guy just comes back, he's on a minutes restriction. Now, I didn't have Kevin Martin, nor did I follow this game. He played 29 minutes. That's not bad. Usually for starters, you're wanting 35 minutes. You know, you'd think 6 minutes, not that big of a difference, but a lot of the time it really is. But so it's always important until you are familiar and you basically know the story of every team and every player. Check the game logs and the player news and see if he just came back. Because a lot of the time, you know, he's 6,500, which Kevin Martin has a lot of upside. And somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing will see, oh, this guy averages 27 points per game for 6,500. I'm going to take him. But, you know, they haven't always been back for a while. You gotta look at injuries to other players at other positions on the team, you know, to get the best idea of whether or not he's going to be likely to score his average or not. I don't believe he's on a minutes restriction, but you see where that goes. All right. Doesn't look like there's a lot of injuries. This isn't going to be an easy team to pick. Generally, it's a lot easier when you have a couple obvious punt plays. Dwayne Wade, I said we'll come back to that. Dwayne Wade being out, let's see what it says. So we don't have to worry about Wade being in at all. Danny Granger could also see increased minutes. I'm not too sure that I'm confident in that. James Ennis is expected to step up in Wade's absence. I don't know a lot about James Ennis, so I'm going to look for him and see what kind of points he's been putting up. He's 3,500, which is the minimum on FanDuel, so that's good. And see, this is where it says James Ennis, and I see he's got a 20.4 here. That's good. But I get awfully nervous about playing a guy who gets 0-0, you know, and he's got a 19 minutes, 14 minutes, 10 minutes here, because that's the reason that he's 3,500. He's 3,500 because he's going to get you jack shit most of the time. So I'm going to skip Ennis right now. I'm going to use some other sites to see if there's any more information that would indicate that he's going to get more playing time. Okay, Gordon Hayward. Oh, shit. Let's go back to... let's check out Danny Granger while we're at it. He's only 37. He played a season-high 36 minutes. That's good. And he scored 26.2. I don't like that he only got 26.2 in 36 minutes, because 36 minutes you don't often see from a guy like Danny Granger. I mean, 36 minutes are usually... There's a couple guys on each team that see minutes like that, but... You know, so you figure if he plays 25 minutes, he's looking at like 18 or 19, which is still value because it's more than 5 times the 3.7. But I mean, it's a punt. It's a decent play, but it's not a play that's like a slam dunk. It's not something that I would take into a 50-50 where people are more safe. You know, if you're gonna be risking, but you're gonna be getting far less of a profit. Usually if I see these, I check that, even though it's usually nothing. Okay, he's been named the Western. Doesn't do anything for me. I don't care. As a fan, I care, but... Alright, Jimmy Butler. Suffered an injury to his knee against the Lakers on Thursday, leaving his availability for Friday's game against the Suns in question. Alright, so this sucks because he doesn't play till 10:30, so... Basically, with this, the lineups on FanDuel, on DraftKings, you can do late player swaps, but even on games that are, if they're late games like this, and you find out a half hour before the game starts, these games have already started, so basically you're stuck just picking somebody from this game, which isn't ideal, because a lot of the times you're going to leave a lot of money on the table and have to take somebody that you wouldn't normally want. So... Basically, unless something comes out, and even if something comes out, when you have a guy that hurt his knee, plus he was sick a couple days ago, you're not going to really want to risk 8,200 on Jimmy Butler, because for him to meet value, technically, he has to get over 40. I'm really good at mental math, but I'm fucking tired, so I'm not going to worry about trying to give you the exact numbers on here. So we better hope that there's some injury somewhere else, or this is going to be a pain in the ass putting together a lineup. Muhammad's been out for a while. That's old news. Not to you if you've never played, but Muhammad being out, that would probably be good for Kevin Martin. They don't play the same position, but it's a rotational thing. And the 2 and the 3, or the 3 and the 4, or the 4 and the 5, or even the 1 and the 2, which if you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably shouldn't even be playing, as far as, you know, the 1's the point guard, the 5's the center, etc. You know that those positions, you know, they kind of have a little rotation thing. A lot of the time guys will play at multiple positions. So, you know, Muhammad being out affects Andrew Wiggins, it affects Kevin Martin, it affects the whole rotation, and it even affects Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus Young's going to get more minutes. He's been blowing up for his price. His price has gone up, but he's been doing really well. And a lot of that has to do with, look at these minutes. 40 minutes, 42 minutes, 43 minutes, you know, 42, 37, 36. You know, so even though he doesn't play the same position as Shabazz Muhammad, who, alright, he's been out a long time, but he got decent minutes. So Wiggins, now Kevin Martin, and Thaddeus Young, guys like that have been splitting up those minutes, getting more minutes, and more minutes means more production. So a player that you would, let me come back to this. Andrew Wiggins is a guy who you might play about 7K. You need about 35, but as you can see, he really hasn't been. He had this one game right here where he just went off, but every other game, this game he was close, but every other game, he's not really meeting his standards. He went on a hot streak. He gets a lot of minutes, but, you know, the minutes are beautiful, but you got to think with the way that Thaddeus Young's been playing, the way that how Kevin Martin's come back. Mo Williams should be back tonight. You know, there's only one basketball out there, and Wiggins hasn't been producing. I don't really think that he's worth 7,000 at this point. He's one of the guys that when it's all said and done, if I click around everywhere and I have 6,900 or 7,100 left over on small forward, he's going to be one of the guys that I look at. LeBron James, this is big. He attended the morning shoot-around. He's doubtful for Friday's game. So if you have a superstar like LeBron James out, you're going to look at his team, just stay on his team tab, and you know Kyrie Irving is a superstar. Look at his price. That's fucking ridiculous. That went up. And, sorry, wrong position. Kevin Love is a superstar. So with LeBron James out, wow. Fuck Kevin Love. So Kyrie Irving, alright. 68.3. I had him, by the way. I won a whopping $3 on a $1 play, but with LeBron James out, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love, even though he's been sucking lately, so these are the two dudes that their value goes way up. Like if LeBron James is in for 9,500, I'm having trouble playing Kyrie Irving. But obviously, as you can see, with LeBron James out, he gets a lot more shots, he gets more minutes, and obviously the offense runs through Kyrie Irving. So he put up almost a 70 here. You know, if he was 11,000, he would have made his value here. If he was 12 or 13,000, he would have made his value here. Actually, like 14,000, which is ridiculous. Nobody's ever going to be 14,000. But so obviously you can see you're getting the points for the money that you spend plus extra points, which is key. So let me get back to small forward. Alright, tonight I'm going to have to just hope that injuries are more plentiful, because, you know, as things go along, we need some guys to be out, because, you know, it's key, especially on the night where you have so many games, which it's not a lot, but 9 games, that's a lot of players. You want to be able to punt, take the cheap players, and take the expensive players, and then the middle of the pack players like Chandler Parsons, who actually sucks. This doesn't look bad. I mean, he hasn't really met value at this price. But besides this game, he hasn't been terrible. But Chandler Parsons is frustrating because he'll get, like on this night, I had him on my team when I won $300 the other night, and he had 25.2 with like 15 minutes of game time left, and he finished with 27.2. So there's guys like Chandler Parsons that'll piss you off. You'll eventually find the players that you do and don't like to play. So let's see what we got here. Oh, Luol Deng's out, and Dwayne Wade is out. So obviously Miami is where we're going to be looking for a punt. First instinct for me would be Sean Williams, and my first instinct was wrong. So we'll have to research that more. Gordon Hayward, this could be key. Missed practice due to a sinus issue. He's expected to play Friday. Now, most guys in the NBA are pussies, so I wouldn't, take that to the bank. But Gordon Hayward, he's very consistent in every few games. He has a big night. Gordon Hayward, 7,700. He's not my favorite play. Usually I like to play guys who don't put up under 30, 3 out of 5 nights, but alright, Mike Dunleavy. He's been out for a long time. He'll miss Thursday's game. I expect he'll miss Friday's game too. I'm not really worried about that. It's something that you'll have to check later. And this is the same thing I said with Dunleavy out. It's not Doug McDermott who's getting the lion's share of the minutes. As you can see, 3 minutes in the last 10 games. I don't know if he's been injured. He's really not relevant. So, whole lot of motherfuckers that have to be hurt for you to be playing Doug McDermott. I believe that makes Nikola Mirotic, a play. See, you click on guys and you're like, this. As you play, Nikola Mirotic for like a month was the fucking dude. I mean, that guy was putting up 30, 40 fantasy points, and then you see this shit and you're like, how the fuck did I ever play this guy? He has his good games like this, but I'm sorry, I cannot play this dude who gets 1 fantasy point in fucking 12 minutes. I can't play this guy. Now, the Bulls, they have Taj Gibson, Pau Gasol, Joakim Noah, so you have a lot of competition for boards and playing time. So that's why guys like, he might be starting. You'll see a guy starting quite often, but he's not going to do shit. I mean, you just got to get off him. Unless the guy, I mean, he's 3,700, but Mirotic's won me some money, so we're going to have to research that more. Obviously, all this we're going to have to research more, but let's go to power forward now and hope that we see some fucking injuries, because this guy right here is a tough dude. This is the opposite of Derrick Rose. He needed surgery, but he put the surgery off so he could play for his team instead of sitting out an entire year healthy like Derrick Rose did. And what's he do? He comes in and he fucking balls out. So props to LaMarcus Aldridge for not being a pussy like what's-his-face. Okay. And still no significant injuries. Carl Landry. So this is another thing that you'll learn the more you play. Sacramento has like 73 fucking power forwards that play either the 4 or the 5. They'll play they'll rarely play the 5 when Boogie's a game time decision. I hope he misses, so then I can punt there. If Carl Landry, let's see how many minutes he's been getting. Okay, Carl Landry gets you 20 something minutes. So when Carl Landry's out, then you got Jason Thompson, and you got, I don't know what Reggie Evans, I haven't taken him in a while. Alright, I wouldn't fuck with Reggie Evans. But Derek Williams and Jason Thompson are the two guys that are going to benefit the most from Carl Landry being out. Possibly. Fuck, he's probable. Okay. This night sucks ass. I might not even play in the long run. Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins, that's his nickname. He's questionable. So if he's out and Carl Landry's out, then you're going to look really hard at Derek Williams and Jason Thompson. And I mean, on this, it's hard. It's really hard to pick between these two guys because these two guys are both mediocre players, if that. And they take turns. Like, look at this out of nowhere, 53.4. They take turns going off. On that particular night, I had Derek Williams. He got 21, and I was all fucking stoked about that. But Jason Thompson got 53.4. Had I picked Jason Thompson, I would have finished first in the tournament. I finished like 53rd in that tournament, so it's all about luck, and a lot of time when it comes to that. Now, one will probably start at the 4 and one will start at the 5, so you can look at splits to see, who does better against the 4 or the 5, like with that particular team. Let me light a cigarette. Hold up. See how many points that the other team gives up to the 4 or the 5, and a lot of the time it's common sense because you'll just know certain players from certain teams. Like on this particular game, you're going to want to take the 4 because Kevin Love's fucking terrible on defense. Mozgov's better than Kevin Love. Mozgov plays the 5 and Kevin Love plays the 4, so I don't remember which one of these dudes. I'm thinking Thompson starts at center and Derek Williams starts at power forward if everybody else is out. So you'll want to take the 4, so you'd probably want to take Derek Williams, but that 53 that he put up the other night in big minutes is tempting, so a lot of tough choices to be made in daily fantasy. This could be big. Let's see. He's unsure. A lot of these motherfuckers, they're never sure. They're never sure until the last minute, and even then they're not quite sure. Obviously, Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the game. If he sits, there's a lot of potential plays off of this. Let's see what they say on here. They don't say nothing about they don't say who would take his spot, but Ryan Anderson is obviously one of the guys who would benefit. Anderson plays pretty well most of the time. Well, right as I say that, he put up all these duds, but Anderson's a guy who usually plays decent even when Anthony Davis is in, but if Anthony Davis is out, I would expect Ryan Anderson to get a hell of a lot more run. And as I said earlier, if Anthony Davis is out, fucking Tyreek Evans, lot of the game plan is going to go through him, and then you have Quincy Pondexter. See, it doesn't have to be the same position. It can just be guys that are usually getting around 20-ish minutes or something. He usually sucks, but for 3,500 outside of a few of these games, that's not terrible. That's not going to kill you. But if Anthony Davis is out, you can, pretty much bump all these up by 5 minutes. And by bumping all those up by 5 minutes, you can bump all these scores up by 3 or 4. And that's just, assuming that he doesn't blow up. So, here he would have got like a 27 or a 17 or a 15, 13 to 15, 22. For 3,500, most of those make value. So that's a guy that you might consider. And then I think Dante Cunningham, he usually starts at the 3. Now he gets big minutes, but he doesn't do a whole hell of a lot in his minutes. So, but with Anthony Davis out and Drew Holiday already out, it's possible that he's more involved in the offense. Maybe they drop a couple plays for him, etc. So Anthony Davis, you keep an eye on him, obviously. I think Josh McRoberts has been out for a long time. Yeah, he has. Chris Bosh for 8,100 against Dirk Nowitzki. Chris Bosh is a guy who kind of likes to be outside anyways. He's not really a paint guy. He, obviously if you follow Chris Bosh, you know that he has a pretty good jump shot. He makes some threes. So if you know that he's going to be up, I'm kind of getting off track here, as I have been the whole time I've been doing this, but Chris Bosh is going to be playing, he plays the 4 or the 5. Usually he'll be playing the 4 now that Whiteside's in, but he'll be going up against Dirk Nowitzki, and everybody knows Dirk Nowitzki likes to stay outside. So if you have a power forward going up against Dirk Nowitzki who doesn't have a good jump shot, and he does most of his damage from inside, as far as like he gets a lot of blocks and he gets a lot of rebounds inside, you know, in the paint. Sometimes you want to shy away from guys who are playing against guys that stay more outside around the three-point line. But Chris Bosh has a good jump shot, so actually, now that I think about that, none of that makes any fucking sense. Just forget that I even said anything about that. Chris Bosh is a good play because Luol Deng and Dwayne Wade are out. And even though he hasn't really been doing that great, he's been getting a lot of minutes. He should see a ton of shots. The offense is going to go through him and probably Whiteside. But let's see who else we got hurt. Utah is another abortion of a team. Like, you never know who to take. Derek Favors. They got Enes Kanter, Rudy Gobert, Gordon Hayward. If Hayward's out, then that makes Favors and guys like that a more favorable play because that's a lot of shots that they have to split up between those guys. Alright, so shit. Not a lot of big injuries there either. For a 9-game slate, you usually see more injuries. Alright, let's go through center. We already know that Boogie's hurt. Oh, okay, he's been out. I was thinking of his brother. Freeland and Lopez is out. They've both been out, by the way, for a while. But that makes these two guys plays. Chris Kaman, you know, he's gone up a little bit in price, I think. So, I don't know if I'm fucking with that. Myers Leonard, I haven't taken him ever, so he might be garbage as far as his game logs. For 3,800, I mean, these two dudes have already been out, and that's the shit he's doing, so he doesn't have a lot of upside. So you can pretty much pass out. Ooh, Dwight Howard. I don't know if he's missed a couple games now, so when it comes to that, it's going to tell you whether or not he's playing. He's getting a second opinion. He's out for a while, okay. I didn't know that. Let's see who they recommend. Fuck it, they don't recommend anybody, and I don't feel like going to Roto World. So on this, you just got to look for yourself. I doubt it's Joey Dorsey. Yeah, Joey Dorsey hasn't really been getting anything. I mean, he's gotten around value a few games, but you can find a hell of a lot better plays than Joey Dorsey. So you go, I'm thinking Modi Hunis or whatever. There's so many foreigners now in the game that you can't pronounce their fucking names, so we call him Modi. He's 5,400. He plays the 4. And he really hasn't been doing that great either. I mean, he's been getting around value, which is good, but I would think with Howard out, like you can see the upstick in minutes right here, but with Howard out, you would think that he would be a hell of a lot more involved. Maybe Papa Nicolau. I don't think I said that right. Now, he didn't play at all last game. That surprises me that Modi hasn't really been more involved. Josh Smith. Let me check Josh Smith. There we go. Josh Smith and Moti Hunas, or whatever the fuck his name is. And they got some other guys. Ariza, obviously. See, that's the thing with the Rockets. They have so many mouths to feed, even with a guy like Howard out. They have so many mouths to feed. They have a lot of guys that, I mean, if you took a couple guys off this team, a lot of these players, their points would skyrocket. But there's just so many guys out there that can. Papa, he was a popular fantasy player earlier this year. I don't know much about Francisco Garcia. That's probably why he sucks. I mean, I know who he is, but I haven't played him this year. James Young. This is a guy who posts on DFS. He's in the NBA, I guess. There was another guy. Oh yeah. Jason Terry's another guy who eats up the minutes, takes away some shots. So usually, honestly, on the Rockets, my main plays are Donatas Motiejunas because he's cheap. I like to play Ariza because he's one of those dudes that every once in a while he'll go way above value. Doesn't look like he's really done that in this 10 game, but he gets pretty good minutes for somebody who's right around 5K, as does Motiejunas. But this is your man right here. 39 last game. But as you can see, 50, 60, 50, 60, 20. That's an outlier game. He's not going to... Warriors are just so fucking good. Klay Thompson's a good on-ball defender, so that's probably why. Might have been a blowout. I don't remember that game. 57, 51, 45, and then... So when he flops, he gets 39. So he's usually a pretty good player to spend a lot of money on. Alright, get back to center. Okay, Boogie. He's hurt. Berejav's been hurt. Mozgov's a decent play for 5,200. He made value here. He made value here. Went well over value here, here. And with LeBron James out, he's going to be more of a part of the offense. He's going to get more looks, more minutes. So Mason Plumlee expected to play, personal reasons. So if Mason Plumlee had been out, then that would have obviously brought you to Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez for 63. Figure if Mason Plumlee's out, he's going to get 30. So that would be a decent play for value. Although, like I said, I usually like to go... I like to punt or go big at center. I don't usually like to take the mid-tier guys. I like to save the mid-tier guys for shooting guard and small forward, or I don't know. Honestly, it depends on the player pool. So okay, so we've gone through all of the injuries, and the most significant injuries that we know about now are the potential for DeMarcus Cousins not playing, which makes either Jason Thompson or Derek Williams a play, especially if Carl Landry also doesn't play, and Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis is out, that makes Tyreek Evans a really good bet to make value, not exceed value. Hasn't been too great the last two games, but everybody who plays DFS knows that Tyreek Evans has that boom bust potential, and with no Drew and no Anthony Davis, Reek's a great play. Gordon's a good play. He's a safe play. And those are pretty much the main plays. Obviously, I already mentioned Pondexter and Cunningham and Anderson. I mean, you can look at everybody who gets 20 minutes usually, or 25 to 30 minutes, and they all should get a little bit more run and a little bit more production. So, since there's no fucking injuries that are worth taking, we're going to go to NBA starting 5. There's a lot of cool motherfuckers right here. This is one of the main reasons that I still play DFS. This is the guy right here that won 40 grand. Mohamed Ayub. This site right here, in my opinion, is where you can go to get the most intelligent conversation. Obviously, you get a lot of intelligent conversation about sports. But after the games freeze and everybody's done fucking whining and or bragging, we get into our political debates. We get into debates about current events, religion, stuff like that. And since we're not women, we can go at each other's throats. You know, I've gotten into arguments with all of these dudes, like pretty big ones. But like I said, since we're not women, the next day we're usually cool. Sorry, I clear my throat and everything so much, but I don't got time to edit that shit out. So, since we didn't find a lot of obvious injuries here just yet, you come here and you'll get a lot more injury news here. Luis Scola is doubtful. Mo Williams may be made available if the Timberwolves can get. That could be important, but it's something that we don't know about right now. But this is where you get all your main injury updates. You'll have to refresh the page. It's not an auto feed like the chat, but you'll get a lot of your injury updates here, and it usually doesn't go into great detail, but after you've played for a while, you know who becomes to play due to a certain injury. But one of the things that I like to do is I open in a new tab. The reason I open in a new tab is because if you get off of this sometimes, 100 is the limit of the people who can be on here chatting. So you'll be on here and you'll have to refresh for like 5 minutes to be able to get in there and talk. So I usually like to leave this up. Even though I'm doing what I complain about, people sitting on here idle, so I can't get in and chat. I don't give a fuck, because that's them and I'm me. So this is where I go to see if any plays jump out at me. First, we're on point guard. I always just sort by points first. So Kyle Lowry, this shows the amount of games he's played this season against that team. Shit. Michael Carter Williams had that's in 43 minutes, so you also have to look and make sure this dude didn't play like triple overtime, and that's the only reason that he got these kind of splits. But this is the kind of shit that you want. You want a guy who filled the stat sheet against this team. He didn't shoot at a particularly high percentage, so I like a guy who shoots at 500 or better against that particular team, because that makes you think that the on-ball defense that they played against him wasn't really that great, so he was getting decent looks. So he's making, at least half of his shots, which is what you want. You don't want guys you do want Kyrie Irving tonight, but he shot 389. So to me, that makes me personally think that the defense they played against him was effective. Because most NBA players, if they're not guarded, they're going to make their shots. So that makes me think that they played effective D against Kyrie Irving. But with LeBron James out, that could be completely out the window, because actually I don't. Never mind. Like I said, I say a lot of stupid shit, and I get off on a tangent, and I forget what I was saying. But there's a lot of point guards, as you can see, that have good splits tonight. You got Chris Paul with the 18, 6, and 16, 20 and 12, 29, 9, almost a triple-double. You get bonus points on DraftKings, I believe, for double-doubles or triple-doubles. Jeff Teague, not great, decent in 35 minutes. Damian Lillard, that surprises me. I thought he would. Nah, that's not bad. 16, 8, and 7. That's not, for somebody who costs as much as Lillard, though, and going against a good team like Atlanta, that's not what you want. But look at the shooting percentage right there. I don't know if that's Jeff Teague. I don't know too much about his on-ball defense, or if that's just an off shooting night. We'll be able to check that out on RotoWire. Let's check that out real quick. Point guards. See, Atlanta Hawks are good, but they're not like elite, although there's not a big difference between terrible and elite. Obviously, you want to play the teams that give up the most amount of points. Let's see in the last 5. Yeah, Atlanta Hawks, they're middle of the road, so I still think that Damian Lillard's a guy that you can usually count on to be a good play. Okay, so on this list, the guy who sticks out to me would probably be Michael Carter Williams, I think. Okay, Tony Roten's out. Michael Carter Williams has been getting... let's see. Fuck it, let's go to shooting guard, see if anybody else sticks out. Now, obviously, James Harden always sticks out, but look at that shooting percentage. I know that Boston has decent defense in their backcourt. It's gotten a lot better since Rondo left. James Harden's usually matchup proof, but you also have the blowout potential here, although blowouts aren't very common in the NBA. I mean, not to the point where it's going to completely limit your guy, but see, that's a good line right there, but you're hoping for even. You don't like this 357 because it shows you that, you know, potentially they completely keyed in on James Harden and let other people beat them. You know, you might have had a lot of double teams, or they put their best on-ball defender. I believe that Avery Bradley's been playing the 2, and I know that he's a really good defensive player, so, you know, James Harden's always a play. He's matchup proof, but you usually like to see splits that stick out more than this. So to some of the best splits of the night, and the guy's not playing. Go figure. Alright, I like this, and I like this. But I've reached a quandary here because the players that I'm most likely punting at this point is going to be determined based on whether or not Boogie is out. But this is looking like we might want to spend money tonight on power forward. Although with the price of him, that could cripple the rest of your team. But Blake Griffin, especially if Anthony Davis is out, that's a great matchup for him. And look at the 37 and 5. That's outstanding. 30, 12, 4, 2 and 1. That's even better. Yes. So power forward at this point, you have to spend your money wisely. Like, you know, usually point guard is a good position that you can find good punts. There's a lot of point guards that are like under 5K that are going to get their 35 minutes, and obviously point guards touch the ball on every play basically. So you get a high usage percentage out of them. So the punts are more, you know, more often than not, they actually meet value or far exceed value. They have a really high upside. So anyways, so power forward looks good to me so far based on the splits and all that. Let's see what we got at center. Okay. So DeMarcus Cousins has great splits against Cleveland. Now, albeit I don't remember if that was when Mozgov was there, but I love that. So he might be out. So what I'm thinking when I see that is I want Jason Thompson or Derek Thompson or Derek Williams. It might as well be Jason Williams because they're like the same fucking dude. But me personally, I don't remember who starts at center when Boogie's out. So I go back to Old Faithful with all these smart guys. And they probably won't answer me since I'm bragging on them. Okay, so I'm gonna start fucking around here and actually putting some people on my team. Okay, I'm not assuming that he's out, or I'm not guaranteeing that he's out, but I'm going to assume that he's out, and I'm going to build my team off of that. Obviously, I'm going to have an exit strategy, but so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take Jason Thompson at 4,000. See, I have 6,667 to spend per player for the 9 players, so I'm going to take Jason Thompson, and now that's up to 7,000. So that is a punt, and that's a punt that if DeMarcus Cousins is out, I expect him to start at center, and he's going to be going up against Cleveland's front court, which isn't great. Mozgov makes it better, but I could see him getting 35-ish minutes. And even though he puts up a lot of bad games like this, I cross-reference that with DeMarcus Cousins having a great game. Obviously, he's not DeMarcus Cousins, but then that obviously makes that a good matchup. So figure if he can put up anything close to that, then for 4,000, he's a great play. And then I go to RotoWire, and I click on centers. And Cleveland, as I suspect, is not great against centers. They're not as bad as they were, but they're not great. I can check the last 5 games, and they're not very good. I can check the last 10 games, and they're terrible. So that will be the first guy that I put onto my team, Jason Thompson. And Jason Thompson, like I said earlier, gives you that potential 53. He's definitely not a safe play, but this is a GPP, so you take a lot of chances. Okay, I'm going to be quiet here and just look around. Okay. Miami is the other game that made me think that I should punt because Luol Deng and Dwayne Wade are both out. Now, the first guy that comes to mind, they said Danny Granger. I say fuck Danny Granger. Shabazz Napier. I'm thinking that when Dwayne Wade is out, Shabazz Napier, I don't remember if he starts at the 1 or the 2, but when he was starting, these couple games right here, let me see, Sacramento and Golden State. Let's see what games Dwayne Wade was out. Dwayne Wade was out against Sacramento and Golden State. So with Dwayne Wade out, that makes Shabazz Napier a play. So let's go to that, and for 3,500, we're expecting, I think it's 17.5 points to make 5 times value. And when he was playing in place of Dwayne Wade, he got 33 and 38 minutes, both on the road, and he got better than value both times. And he is playing at home now against Dallas, and Rajon Rondo is really not that good at defense. And let's go to RotoWire and let's cross-reference that. My computer's going slow today. Okay, Dallas isn't... Oh, they've been... See, that worries me right there. Overall, they're not good against point guard, and Rajon Rondo is not that good of a defender. So I don't know if they've just been playing against terrible point guards, which I'm not saying that Napier is like a stud, but he's 3,500. But I'm just going to go with the... Oh, I'm a dumbass. I'm looking at Boston Celtics. I can't get used to the fact. Okay, Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks. Now, they've been the best in the league against point guards over the last 5. That worries me. I do not understand that, because Rajon Rondo is not an upgrade defensively over most people. So you know what? I'm just going to say fuck it. This probably won't be the team I stick with, but I'm going to take Shabazz Napier. I think he starts at the 1, and I think Chalmers starts at the 2 with Wade out. And with Deng out, they're both going to see increased minutes also. And then I have 7,500 now per player. So shooting guard or small forward, usually you want to punt one of these positions because they're really top heavy. If LeBron James, actually, fuck this. I don't like to take the expensive guys first because I don't like to see that go down. It depresses me. But Kyrie Irving right now is the most likely guy that I'm going to take. And let's see. Who the hell starts small forward if James is out? I'm thinking J.R. Smith and Matthew Dellavedova could both see bumps from that. Let me see their last game. Let me go to Cleveland. Nah, he's getting minutes, but J.R. Smith, he's very reliant on making his shots. If he's off, he's going to get you single digits. It's not a Shumpert, but I'm going to look at him anyways. Now, you'll find this a lot. These are guys who are punts, but they're cheap. They're not starting for somebody who's injured. They're guys who get you usually consistent upper teens, lower 20s. Every once in a blue moon, a guy like Ben McLemore will drop 30. But these are punts that are starters. They play decent minutes every night. These are like what I would consider safe punts. Like the upside's not that high, but they're less likely to get you 4. You know, like some of these guys can do. Because if somebody gets you 4, even if they're 3,500, that can fuck up your GPP team. So these are guys that when you get done and you pick the rest of the players on your team, these are guys that are usually worth a look. Guys like Ben McLemore or OJ Mayo, who's a little bit more expensive than him. Just guys like that who get steady minutes. Matt Barnes for the Clippers is another guy like that. Where is he at? Small forward. He's 5,100. He doesn't really go off that often, but like as you can see, he's pretty consistent. He'll get you 20-ish, 25. 20 to 25 is what you can expect from him. And every once in a while, he blows up and gets you a 40. And that right there, he got nine times value right there. So that's what you're hoping for. And that also has a lot to do with the matchups. Like he's going against New Orleans. He plays the 3, the small forward. So when it comes to that, you would go and you would click on small forward, and New Orleans is not very good against small forwards, so that's a possibility. The other night he played, I think it was against the Kings, and the Kings are up here as one of the shittier teams against the 3. So I played him and he got 30, and I got 6 times value. So anyways, let's see. There's the guy, James Young, who I said was in the NBA. He's not really in the NBA. That was just a stupid joke. My failed attempt at humor. Okay, so I'm going to go to shooting guard. Go to all teams. Jimmy Butler's not a play. Klay Thompson, I don't like playing Klay Thompson because I'm a Warriors fan and I only see the negatives in my players besides Colin Kaepernick. A lot of people would laugh at that. They know that I'm a Colin Kaepernick enthusiast. Dwayne Wade is out, obviously. Bledsoe's a good play. Reek is a great play if Anthony Davis is out. But I'm here right now looking for a punt. So I'm feeling lazy, and this is taking a long time. So I'm going to see if anybody can get me going in the right direction. A lot of the time they do. Alright, GSM right here. This is one of the guys that I talk to the most. I talk to all these guys, but GSM is one of my favorites, even though he hates Colin Kaepernick. He's a Raiders fan. Well, I don't know if he hates Colin Kaepernick. We just disagree about how good he is. But he's talking about some other things that come into play. All-star snubbed. You have a guy who might be going back to a team that traded him or a team that fucked him over, released him, traded him for nothing, didn't want to re-sign him, give him what they thought he was worth. Or people going back to their hometowns, like Dwayne Wade going back to Chicago, although he's played in Chicago so much that really doesn't matter. But there's so many other different factors like that can contribute to a player's overall motivation to perform. Because, in the NBA, a lot of the time, motivation is a big factor. As far as, if a guy's more aggressive because he has his family in town watching him, or he's in New York or Los Angeles, which, despite the terrible teams, are still big markets, or if he's on primetime TV, there's so many variables. So you have to take basically everything into consideration to put together a good team, which my team is fucking Shabazz Napier and Jason Thompson right now, so that's not a great team, I wouldn't say. But I'm going to go to Miami just to fucking hurry this along, and I'm going to put in Granger. Even though I said that I'm not really high on Granger, that last game he played pretty fucking good, so I'm going to put in Granger. So now I have 8,133 left. So I know that Boogie is out, and he's the main center, so my next move is going to go to center, because I know that it's not a high-scoring position. Actually, I don't know Boogie is out, but he's maybe out, so. Okay, Dwight Howard's out. Let's see if any of the usual suspects that I like to punt at center are here. Utah, I don't know what Gobert's at right now. Gobert cost 6,100. Yeah, I'm not all over that play. Al Horford is 81. He's gone up. He was like in 6K something when he wasn't getting minutes, so obviously Al Horford has come around. He's getting decent minutes. He's putting up points, getting boards, assists, filling up the stat sheet pretty much. So let's see. Now I want to take one of the high dollar power forwards. So punting Moti Hunis or Junis, or however the fuck you say it, wouldn't be a good idea, because then I have nowhere to go. So I'm really thinking that I might have to punt center tonight. So is Boston playing? Yes, Boston's playing. Oh shit, no. He's a power forward. Brandon Bass. Brandon Bass had a shit game last time out. But as you can see, he's pretty damn consistent. He's been getting a lot of 4 times, but he got 7 times here. He got almost 9 times here, so I had him for this one. Brandon Bass is a guy who, at the moment, is fairly relevant. But I'm going to go back to small forward and try and find a decent punt. The ugliest shot in the NBA. And he didn't do shit with LeBron out as I expected, so I'm thinking Mike Miller probably isn't a play either. Nope. I mean, you can't always go off of game logs, but LeBron James was out last game and the dude got 10 minutes, so that's pretty much what can be expected. Terrence Ross, I mean, I'm not in love with those minutes, so even though he's been getting decent production, I'm not going to fuck with that. Quincy Pondexter is a possibility. Sean Williams is another possibility. That's a huge risk. That's a GPP play only. But actually, looking at his game logs, I'm going to fade Sean Williams. And if Gordon Hayward is out, it's expected to play, so fuck that. Okay. So I found my shooting guard punt. I found my point guard punt. He has high upside. He has high upside. He has high upside if Boogie's out. I want to punt small forward or center, because there's not like a great play at center. There's not a superstar at center besides Cousins, who might miss. So let me start back over from the beginning. This is where what I might do is I might take, if I take a guy who's in the 5 to 6K range, it would open me up to be able to take 4 good players. I might not be able to take more than one superstar, but I would be able to take, some pretty good players. So, because what I'm really wanting is James Harden. I want James Harden. He's super expensive. Like, I'll show you, if I take him, that knocks me down to 7,520. So let me go back to this and see if any of the center's numbers pop out besides Boogie. Mason Plumlee, but he's hurt. Or if he's not hurt, he's a game time decision. So I like this, the 15 boards against Miami. Oh shit. I forgot. Set to return Friday, so that'll take a few minutes away from him. It usually doesn't take me this long to pick a lineup. Honestly, it usually takes me a couple minutes, but things just aren't working out quite the way I had planned. I don't know if they're talking about Cody Zeller or Tyler Zeller. Okay, we're going to do it this way then. We're going to go to centers, NBA defensive versus center, and the worst in the league is Orlando, who's not playing. Second worst is Philadelphia, so let me see who Philadelphia is. Cut the fuck over. Philadelphia is going up against Dang and Pekovic. Let me look at Pekovic. Pekovic hasn't been doing shit, so I don't like Dang for 7,100. Okay, Denver's not playing, Lakers aren't playing, Minnesota is playing, so they're playing Philly center. And that would be Sims, who's garbage, so we're probably going to fade that too. Yeah, 18, 19 minutes, no thanks. Just work down. Detroit's not playing. Sacramento. Okay, Sacramento hasn't been great against centers, even with Boogie in there. And if he's out, it's going to be an even more. I would expect even more points to be given up. So I'm thinking that Timothy Mozgov for 5,200 with LeBron James also out is probably the most logical play for me at this point. So now I need to find a small forward that is cheap that I expect to get. I'm just going to go. Okay, let's see. Batum's back. That's interesting. I might look at DeMar Carroll. He had a decent game last time out. Batum is a guy who, he's pretty hit or miss, just same as Wesley Matthews, but quite often he fills up the stat sheet. So if he's healthy and he has a decent matchup, he's usually a good bet to meet value, which for him is less than 30. Okay, I do not see a slam dunk small forward punt, unfortunately. If Hayward was out, I might go Ingles, even though I don't like Ingles. You know what? Let's see. Hayward's been in. Okay, Hayward's been in, and Inglis is still getting good minutes. And even though I don't usually like to go talk about blowouts, Utah is not that good of a team going against Golden State. So what I'm going to do right now is because he's hampered it all, and because Joe Inglis has been getting really good minutes for 4,300, and he's been putting up good stats, and there's the potential for blowout, which means that he could play the entire fourth quarter or the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter possibly. I'm going to punt Inglis. Okay, so now I have Shabazz Napier, who should be starting at the 1 against a bad defensive point guard team, and was getting like 25 to 30 when Wade was out. I have Danny Granger, who is going to be getting more run because of both Wade and Deng being out. So he got like a 26 last game. Let's figure that we want 25 from him. So let's say we want 20 to 25 from him and 20 to 25 from him. So we're looking at, let's go upside 50 for these two guys. Okay, Joe Inglis, let's go the same 25, so 75. Jason Thompson, because he has so many shit games, I'm going to say I'm hoping for 20, so we're up to 95. Timothy Mozgov, I'm going to say my realistic expectation for Mozgov is 25, and that would especially if DeMarcus Cousins is out. So what were we at? 95, so we're at 120. So we're at 120 with, let's say, 20K spent. So that would be right now, realistic expectations would be 6 times. So we have 6x value, and if we hit 6x value on the entire lineup, then we would be getting 360. Okay, don't bet on 360 because you're not going to get 6x value from most of your stars. But as you can see, we have 5 punts that, you know, they all have reasonable expectations and good matchups. It would really fuck me if DeMarcus Cousins plays and Jason Thompson. I almost have to fade for sure, but there we go. We have that. We have a good starting point for our GPP team. We have our risky players, but our risky players that we all see the upside in. So now we have 9,825 to spend on 4 players. If we go to all players in all games, okay, we have a lot of high dollar guys, but he's not playing, I'm pretty sure. He's game time decision. I'm hoping that none of them play. But so to me, that says, especially with Howard out and against Boston, who really isn't a great defensive team, James Harden's in. Now we have 9,367 left over. Okay, we're going to really do like Tyreek Evans though too. So I'm going to remember that if Boogie's playing and I have to get Jason Thompson out, a thing I could see myself doing is getting rid of Jason Thompson, taking Brandon Bass, and then fading James Harden and going with Tyreek Evans, who, if Anthony Davis is out, not to mention Drew Holiday being out, he has really high upside. So let me go back to this to see who was the power forward who had the best splits. Because although this isn't an exact science, generally splits do tell some of the stories. So I'm going to go with LaMarcus Aldridge against Atlanta. Atlanta's a really good team. One of the best teams in the NBA right now. But that game is Portland at Atlanta. I expect it to be high scoring. Let me see how much Blake is. Blake's 9,700. How's he been doing? Last few games. Don't love that. I'm just going to go with LaMarcus Aldridge right now. Okay. And then we have 9,800 left over. Oh no, my bad. I took Harden out. So we have 9,100 left over. Okay, so we're going to be able... Small forward, as it is most nights, is a fucking wasteland. So I'm thinking Rudy Gay. And Rudy Gay would be a great play if DeMarcus Cousins is out as well. He's pretty consistent. He's been dealing with some injuries, I think, here recently, but 28.1 isn't usually what he gets. He's usually closer to 35. I would say 35 to 40. 35 is what you're expecting. 40 is what you're hoping for. So I'm gonna put him in right now. I'm gonna put him in now, and then point guards. I can have any point guard I want. Okay, I don't like this play at all. I don't like Steph Curry against Utah. Just because, I mean, he's one of the best players in the game, but the Warriors are really deep. So if somebody's not going to go off, there's a good chance it's him. And that game could be a blowout because Golden State, especially coming off a loss, and they had a couple days off, I think that they're going to come out firing on all cylinders. Chris Paul at New Orleans, he had, I think it was 17 or 18 assists against them last game. We'll see if that's not actually on this 10 game, but ooh, Kyrie Irving. Okay, so I have high upside starting at the 2. Kyrie Irving, if LeBron James doesn't play, he's coming off 50 points. He's at home. He's against a team that's not really that good on defense. Danny Granger, who should get a lot more minutes because Luol Deng and Dwayne Wade are both out, and he got 26 last game. James Harden, arguably the best fantasy player in the game. Dwight Howard's out. It's against Boston. Boston's not that good of a team defensively. You can think 55-60. Joe Ingles, you have the potential for garbage time minutes. He's a backup. He's been getting 25 to 30 minutes a game, even if Hayward's in, but Hayward has been hampered by a fucking sinus thing, I guess. Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay is 7,800. He has the potential for 35 to 45 on any night. If DeMarcus Cousins is out, then his value goes up even higher. I seriously doubt that Cleveland's good against a small forward. I'm not even going to bother looking it up right now. But if LeBron James is out, then that makes him an even better play. Jason Thompson based solely on the premise that Boogie's going to be out. He's going to be starting at center against a team that even with Mozgov isn't great against centers. So LaMarcus Aldridge, who has some of the better splits of the night, and Timothy Mozgov, who could be going up against a team that even with DeMarcus Cousins doesn't have good numbers against centers. So if DeMarcus Cousins is out, then him going up against Jason Thompson, you would expect his numbers to be even better. And sometimes I like to take guys that are going against each other. I don't know why. It could seem counterproductive, but it generally works for me, especially when it's point guards for some reason. Point guards that are going against each other always seem to do well for me. So right now I have a team that I'm fairly confident in, and the plus side is I have $900 left over in my salary cap, so I could move out of most of these guys fairly easily. I'm thinking him most likely, just in case. I could move out of them. If LeBron James plays, I'm more likely to fade Kyrie Irving and go with somebody like Michael Carter-Williams, who's 1,000 less. And then I would have 1,900, so I can move Jason Thompson to anybody who is 5,900 or less. So I could get a guy like I would probably go Donatas Motijunas with Dwight Howard out. So, anyways, as of right now, that is what I'm going to save my team as. It is more than likely to change because a lot of injury updates will come out from now and then. Another site I wanted to show you real quick is rotoguru.net. FanDuel, sortable stats. This is a good place to go to see how players have been doing in the last 15 days. It's a good way to find those mid-range guys that have been under the radar, seeing who's been putting up the most points. I'm just going to go through this real quick because this video is way too fucking long. But you just go to random guys and you can see their game logs. This is their FanDuel points, their minutes, Draft Day, Draft King, Star Fantasy, etc. So, anyways, NBAstarting5.com, one of the best sites on the internet. A lot of really cool dudes. All these dudes are cool as shit. Not all of them. Some of them are dicks, but most of them are cool. A lot of regulars here. You can develop pretty decent online friendships with some of these guys. You get a lot of good information from them. So, anyways, I've rambled on for an hour and 25 minutes. So if you sat through this whole video, I'm sorry. Somebody's texting me, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. Anyways, I hope that this helped. There's a whole bunch of shit that I didn't get a chance to go over, but I really can't keep this going on any longer. Nobody will watch it. So, anyways, I hope that y'all got some good information on this. If you have any questions, just leave them on the comment page or go to NBA Starting 5, and we'll all be happy to answer your questions there as long as you're not a douchebag or top shotta. And have a good day. Thanks. Bye.